So here's what we're going to do tonight.
Ooh, pretty.
We're going to do a little bit of grain filling. This is on a piece of white oak, quarter sawn white oak. What we're going to work with tonight is ash. So we'll get into a little bit more of the products as we go along that are available. But first thing we need to do, of course, this piece has been turned and sanded like we're going to finish it as a natural piece of wood. So it's been sanded through 800 and it's ready to go. No torn grain, no scratches, anything like that, because the grain fillers will fill everything. I'm going to spray it down with a little bit of alcohol, open up the pores. I'm going to use an alcohol-based dye first though. So we're just going to open the pores back up because as you sand that fine, it closes everything up. So if you put a little bit of alcohol on it first, I guess if you were using the water-based dyes, you could put a little bit of water on it to open things back up a little bit. Just a little bit, not much. Cleans off some of the dirt as well. Paper towels, alcohol, going to get laid over the edge of the trash can to dry. And then we got to have a background color. Your background color can be anything dark. You can use black. I'm going to use black. Black actually works the best for me. You can use a dark green, dark blue, something along those lines. You do have to keep in mind of there's color in the wood, like this ash is sort of a yellowish color. It's not white. So our black may not totally come out black. It may come out a little bit muted as the white oak piece. A lot of the brown showed through from the oak, which I should have done it a little different. We're going to do this one a little bit different than what I did that one. Of course, the hardest part is going to be getting in the little groove because it has a little bead, but we'll just cheat and let gravity do the work for us. Put a drop of dye in there and let it run around the circle. We're going to go over the whole thing with the dye first. I have the rim finished on the inside or on the top side. It has not been hollowed out yet. And I did these about a week or so ago, and this thing has actually moved a little bit. You'll see when I turn it on. It did move a little bit. Not enough to make anything drastic, because I'm not going to make it thin. As you can see right here is an area that the dye is not really coloring it as well. It's not soaking in as much. So if we want to go for the pure black, the next step will make it pure black, or blacker anyhow. And if you didn't know it, most of the dyes out there, commercially, or even the ones that I make, that you make using trans tin or one of those, black is not usually really black. It's actually a dark purple or a dark blue. Most of what I've seen is purple. If you get a little bit on the paper towel, like right out of the bottle, and just a little bit like out towards the edge, you'll get to figure out what color it really is. But it does highlight the grain. So that's the first step, color. Second step would be to seal it. And I cheat. I like to use things that are simple. That's alcohol based. It's going to be dry in a matter of a couple seconds. We can spin it a little bit, make it dry a little quicker. Other thing we can do, if it was in Las Vegas with Jimmy Clues, he'd say, we just laid it on fire, but I try and stay away from that. Just going to take a paper towel and sort of burnish it a little bit, just to make it dry. And we're going to keep our speed down. Probably is about 200 RPMs. That's about as slow as my lathe will go on the belt that it's on. And we're gonna airbrush the finish on it. What the finish is shellac. A very standard bead wax shellac.
It's actually Zinsser's seal coat. I just use a simple airbrush, a Slager's bed airbrush. You buy them for about $25. My idea of evacuation of any of the mist that's going to fly around, just out of your sight, there's a 4-inch dust collection hose, and the dust collector is running at the moment. But that also runs into a cyclone, so it's not getting back to my dust collector. I'm going to take our airbrush. We'll make it blacker yet, and put a coat of slack.
Kurt, your audio is coming through kind of funny, like you're on Star Trek.
My audio is doing what?
Oh, you sound perfect now. Earlier, for about a minute, you were sounded like you were from outer space. It was very, very weak.
Okay, that's the noise cancellation part. That's all we're gonna do. As you can see, when I spin it around, the harder bits of the grain are now shiny, and the softer bits stayed dull, which means it's soaked into it. So that needs to dry. So this is the time consuming part of it, is waiting for that to dry. The shellac will take about half an hour, 45 minutes, something like that to dry. We're not going to wait that half an hour, 45 minutes. I have some pieces ready to go that have been done the same way, or at least similar way. I got to switch chucks for the first one. There's a couple ways of turning things black as well. You can dye, there's all kind of dyes out there. There's also a really fun way, and you can take a torch to it. If it's an open, this has to be an open grain wood to do it, period. But ash burns well. That's generally what I use, would be ash, because I have lots of it.
Kurt, on the dye, what brand was it?
That was just some transient dye and alcohol.
Like
also,
chestnut?
No. Transtint's just the concentrated dye you buy in a bottle, and then you can mix it with either water or alcohol.
Okay.
I do have the chestnut spirit stains as well. They work just as well. So this piece has been done with the black, and I think because I can see there's some places that's lighter. This was done just black and this plain shellac. And then we have a multitude of products and colors that's available. There's some Hampshire, turn it the right way, both cases. At Hampshire Sheen, some Chroma Guild. This is a wax. The Hampshire Sheen products are a wax. They're pretty easy to use. The Chroma Guild, like in something, I'm going to use the Chroma Guild on this one. I did the first one in purple. Let's do this one in blue. I only have 3 colors of that. They don't have Chromacraft does not have a big selection of colors. They do now have some that are iridescent. I did not purchase any of them, but this stuff is actually fairly expensive for what it is. To me, that little tube is like $17 or $18. At least it was the last time I bought it.
Oh, wow.
So it's not cheap, but it goes a long ways, as you'll see, because we're not going to use much of it to do what we need to do, because we're just filling the grain. So I'll just take a little bit and get it on just a little squeeze out and just get a little bit on my finger. Get my glove tight. And I'll just rub it between my fingers so that I don't get a big glob in one place. And then we'll just go over and make little circles in the area that we want to fill, which is the whole thing. And you just go back and rub your fingers together. It's actually quite easy and fairly quick to do it's the in-between time that takes longer than anything. But yeah, it's sure good.
Oh, it looks cool.
So we'll go over the whole thing. Like I say, it doesn't take very long, and we're as as expensive as the tube is, it's like, oh my God, you're gonna go broke. But as you can see, the more I rub it around and your your fingers are heating it up, and makes it even sort of thinner than what it already is. So just get it rubbed in real nice and even. Try and get everything filled. But as I said earlier, this is not this is not a good thing to use if you have trouble with, if there's any kind of grain that's torn or you have some big scratches in it, maybe sanding scratches or something like that, because this will fill them in just as easy as it fills the grain of the wood. And they do really stand out quite nicely. And of course, you won't see it until you put this on.
I
This is
meant to have
really,
that tear out.
pardon?
Oh, I was saying, oh, I meant to have that tear out there.
Yeah, well, it's shit, like say, everything, shit happens, so.
Right?
And there's nothing says that you can't blend the colors too if you wanted to. I'm not the color magician. I've taken a couple classes with Jimmy Clues, and he's like, well, let's put some of this and that in there. And I'm like, yeah, okay, but I'm pretty much going to use one color. And this stuff actually sets up fairly quickly because it's some sort of an oil-based product. But I think it says you can thin it or clean up as mineral spirits. I'm just going to take a dry paper towel and I'm going to go back over it lightly. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it. You also can do this while it's spinning. I have a tendency to push a little bit too hard when it's spinning. So I usually just do it by hand. I'm just going to lightly go back over it and try and get as much of the high spots off as I can with the paper towel. And you can see you get a fair amount back off. And if you get called away or something like that and this dries, the paint thinner will cut it back. Even if you would come back like the next day, it'll still take it off because the shellac has sealed the top surface. And the reason for the top surface being filled is this would change the color of even the black. And it won't look right if you don't seal it. Of some sort of a sealer. Doesn't have to be shellac. It could be a light coat of lacquer or something along those lines as well. It just needs to be sealed a little bit. So as it dries, you just kind of keep after it a little bit to get any of the places that might have been missed. And we didn't do the inside. Do the inside real quick. You won't be able to see what I'm doing, but you get the idea from the outside as to what I did. Inside will be quicker because I'm not going in circles. I'm just going to go straight around it.
Got plenty of time. What colors do they have of that stuff?
In the Chroma Guild, they have your standard colors of blue or
Blue, red, green, yellow.
no, I wish they did. They don't. Why they don't have primary colors is beyond me. Well,
Right?
I do know
Would you?
why. I got a really quick, simple explanation on that. And the explanation was that Nick Agar doesn't like that. I'm like, what do you
Oh,
mean? He said, well, that's who has a big say in what the colors they make, I guess,
Oh, wow.
which is really weird because they used to make a paste, which is, I do have some of that. They used to make this stuff. It's called an accent paste. It was relatively expensive too, I think. I only ever got one bottle, one little jar of it. I use that on, oh no, we'll use purple on the other one. But it's a lot thicker. It is a paste. And it's a lot thicker and it's really nice. And they had a bunch of colors on that. Well, when they quit making that, then somewhere along the line they said, no, we're just only going to have these handful of colors. And that's the explanation I got, was that it's what Nick Agar wanted. Okay, well, what if everybody else wants something else? But I'm kind of surprised that I saw they had the iridescent ones, but they were more expensive. So from there, what I would do with it, and we're going to do the same thing. I'll take it off here and flip it over so you can see it better. I would sit this off to dry for a while. It is oil based, and you know, if you watch Nick do a demonstration somewhere, he would go right over it and seal it right then and there. But see, like right here, now that I got up in different light, is some areas that are kind of bled over into places I don't want it. But if I let this dry while I put the stuff on the other one and come back, I can take a little bit of mineral spirits and lightly wipe over this stuff, and it'll clean all these areas out there that I don't want. Or you could just leave it like that. But it definitely has given us some blue haze through these areas. And like I say, I should have sprayed this one with the black shellac, because you'll see, we can maybe get back to that one before we're done, and it'll look a little bit different. So I'll just be lazy. I'm not going to switch back to the other chuck. Somehow or another, I didn't quite do the same size tenon on all of them. Now this one has been turned black the fun way. I would call it the fun. I call it the fun way. This has been burnt. Turned. It was sanded. Jimmy Clues, when I did some of them. He loves to do that in a class. Simple, either propane, map torch, map gas. I have a map gas when it burns hotter. You just take it outside and torch it. Let it cool off a couple minutes or whatever, so you can touch it and bring it back in the house. And you take a wire brush, a brass brush, small brass brush, and brush with the grain, and it cleans out all the stuff in the grain, which is kind of interesting. We did blue. Let's do purple. We'll do a different one. We use the Hampshire Sheen on this one. See how well I have it sealed. It'll tell me really quickly. If you don't get it sealed well enough, but it's kind of a fine line between not well enough and too well. If you fill the pores up, then there's nothing to fill. So like I say, it's sort of a fine line. But if we take this grain filler of this stuff, it's got to be coarse enough it's going to want to tear my paper towel apart. So I guess we'll just use fingers. You can use a paper towel on that one, but this is a wax-based product. So if we go across the grain with this one, it's literally going to fill those pores completely up, because now we have something really to fill because of it being burnt. And we do it in sort of the same fashion. We do our little circles. This, when you burn them, will take more material to fill up the cracks, because there is there is genuinely like little valleys in there,
A lot more real estate.
a lot more real estate to fill. Not that the one I just used, it'll fill them up too. This is gonna fill them up fairly full. But when I turn it on and spin it to take off the excess, it will get down in there and pull some of that excess off. You're not gonna lose the texture effect of the burning. It's not gonna fill it to that point. This one here, I
Yes.
definitely leave them sit. I would leave this once I get it to the proper point. This one I definitely leave sit overnight. Because it has some sort of an oil in it too. But this one's actually working I got this one sealed quite well. Because the purple, I don't, purple, my wife's a painter and a decorative painter, so she's better at colors than I am. But if you don't get it sealed really well, purple will turn pink on the black. There's a pink one too, which is kind of interesting. But there again, it needs to be really jet black for the purple to show. You can do it doesn't have to be just grain filling. If you're doing spiraling, the texturing tools and things like that, this stuff works really well on that too. Just to highlight it. Same process, so you'd want to, if it's just on raw wood or something like that, you still want to seal it first. Otherwise, this stuff has a pretty potent dye in it. Because it will dye things quickly, namely fingers. It will dye them quite nicely. Not quite as bad as the wood dye as far as to get it off of your fingers, but it still dyes them just the same.
Well, it sure makes a beautiful effect on the wood, Kurt.
Yeah, I mean and basically, I'm taking basically a very plain piece of wood and making it stand out and look like something.
Right. Lord
Which
knows
is why I liked it, because it's, a lot of like this kind of stuff, a lot of the ash and things like that is very plain. I mean, there is some that would have some curl to it or what have you, but most of it's just, plain, simple grain. These look really neat if you do get a piece that does have some wild looking grain or something like that in, or grain that's less uniform. Then that looks a little bit neater.
Is that
Here we'll,
for that stuff? Is that a special purple color, or is it just straight up purple?
it's just straight up purple. What's he
Okay.
call it? He calls it electric purple.
Electric purple.
Yeah. I think he's across the pond. That's that Martin Sabensmith.
Yep.
That's who makes that. This time I'm going to speed it up a little bit more. I'm up about 750 RPMs. Could have my face shield on because I could actually wear it, but I'm pretty much off to the side. I'm going to take my paper towel and I'm just going to breeze across it. And I'm not putting a whole lot of pressure on it. I'm just trying to float across the surface to get more of it off the surface. And what I'm going to look for is the places that I missed, because they'll show. Maybe places that I got a little too heavy-handed. Did pretty good, and I got one place. So we can hit it a little bit more. And keep getting little sort of clean bits of towel. Try and get the black to be back to black. And this being a smaller piece, the grain lines are quite tight together. But there again, if we let this sit for a while, a couple hours overnight, as it dries, we can go back and I could go back and sort of buff them off with just a paper towel, because the shellac is still on all this high part of the black. So it really won't affect what's underneath it. It'll just wipe off the stuff on its surface. You will go through a lot of paper towels playing with this stuff too. And gloves. Been a while since I've done one that I burnt. I forgot that since you burn it, it leaves sort of left some sharp edges up there that it wants to sort of fray the paper towel. Well, I probably should have sanded it a little bit, maybe. Let's do the rim quick. And I'll show you what we got. And this stuff is available through, where I got it from was Wood World in Texas. The only reason I bought it from them, well, for one, at that time, I've had these for a couple of years. They were the only people that was his distributor in the US. I'm not sure whether the Walnut Log is now carrying them or not. I know he's carrying some of his other stuff. So I'm thinking maybe he might be carrying some of this as well.
Yes, he does.
Okay. I hope there's nobody here from Wood World of Texas, but I wanted to try this. I saw Martin demonstrate it on his YouTube or whatever, and I thought it looked interesting. And I wanted to try it, and he had, there was a discount code or something for 10% off or something like that. And I'm like, I'm gonna have to get me a couple cans of that. Because there again, that stuff is fairly expensive. I think when I bought it was like $12 or $13 for a can, which is not ridiculous. And I'm like, well, it's not like I haven't, pissed away $50 on other stuff for wood turning.
Right.
And so I went in there and I picked a handful of colors. And I'm like, well, that should be good enough. And I got to the shipping and they were going to charge me like $22 or $23 shipping. And I'm like, no, thank you. I'm like, this thing weighs, I ship enough glue all over the country. And I'm like, I know what this stuff costs to ship and it ain't what you're charging. So there's our purple. So we did blue and purple.
That is
So
gorgeous.
on that shipping charge, what he does, his system doesn't calculate the proper zip code postage. So it's a ballpark estimation, and there's a hold that's put on that shipping charge until he actually processes the order there at the store. And then he calculates the correct postage. So that's how it works with him down there.
Okay. Well, see there again, if
Otherwise, just call him and place the order.
right. Well, it ended up my daughter and husband were going to be down there a couple months or something later, and I'm like, I looked it up online. I'm like, how close are you going to be to this place? And she goes, well, like 20 minutes away or something like that. Like, good. I'm like, you're going there. And she's
Here's
like,
what you're gonna do.
here's what you're gonna do. And she called me and we I got a tour of their store because she we did the video chat and she walked around. She's like, you want this one, this one, this one? I'm like, yeah, that's fine. But so that's our purple. And it is very textured on this case. And you rub your fingers across it, there's no doubt that texture is there, even though it has been sort of filled in. Now from there, I let these go Generally, we'll let them go till the next day. And then I will come back with another coat of shellac to seal all this in, because remember, some of this stuff, the first one is an oil-based product. This is some sort of oil wax. So we need something to bond to that coating. So as we all know, shellac will stick to about anything and everything. So, and I will leave the bottom of this natural, as well as the inside of this one will be natural as well. And who knows, I probably will make this opening on the top maybe a little bit bigger, and then it'll get some sort of a lid on it. Whether the lid gets textured this way, or just use a piece of, I'll probably just use a piece of figured maple for the lid, and then try and dye back into the purple family or something along those lines, and maybe a little bit of a finial or something for on top of it. But is our first piece dry? I don't stick to it, so that's a plus. Let's see what we can pink. In the chrome guilds, I only have 3 colors. I have the blue that I used, I have a purple, and I have a copper in that. Other ones that they have out there, Jimmy Clues has his name on one. There again, they're sold out of Woodworld of Texas. There is a very big variety of colors in these. These are an oil-based product. So if they get hard on you, you just put a little bit of mineral oil in them and it brings them right back to life. Well, I got silver on my fingers. Like I say, I've been out and done. Yeah. The other thing, there's some formulas out there to make your own. This is still a work in progress as far as I'm concerned. This is a one that I got from, it's actually a fairly local guy. And it's basically you're mixing, it's a wax and oil. It's like the Minwax finishing oil or finishing wax that you would use for wooden furniture. A little bit of beeswax in it, a little bit of mineral oil, and then you can make it whatever color you want. So I'm working on a red. I like red, so that's kind of where it's at. And then you heat all that stuff up, preferably when your wife's not looking, because you sort of use a double boiler. Or in my case, my idea of a double broiler was a little glass dish from the dollar store. I put all that stuff in it, put it in a little pan with water in it, and heated it up. And you gotta keep stirring the crap out of it so that everything melts together. This actually just got
before.
This got remelted the second time because I went with his general directions, and he had a specific gram amount of mica powder that he put in it. And mica powder is very potent as far as a colorant, but when I put this on, and even now, it's not really the red that I would be looking for. I mean, it is red, but it's really almost, to me, it's almost pink. And this one, we'll just play with this one, show you some differences. So it does have a reddish color to it. Not quite the red that I would want. Try and get my finger clean. So if we go with the pink, we'll go pink beside it. And this is back to this is another one of the Hampshire Sheen ones. These are very, very easy to use. I will say that. Either one, any of them are not very overly difficult to use. Except if you watch some YouTube videos of some of the people that use some of this stuff. You can go to Hobby Lobby. There's a what's it called? It's a
Michael's.
gilder's cream.
Oh, okay.
Oh, shit. Rub and Buff. I think is actually the name. I don't. Yeah, I don't have any. It comes in a tube that's about half that size. It just comes in a tube. It's about that long, and it's like $5, something like that.
Yeah, it's basically gilt cream or
Yeah,
gilder
that's
cream.
right. You'll find it with the stuff it'll be around the picture framing stuff in that area.
Okay.
Yeah,
Framing
my
department.
craft store sells them too.
Right. Everybody seems to sell them. You can use them as well. Use the same way. The first video that I ever watched of somebody doing it, I think that was before I went out to Jimmy's. He put it on and left it totally dry, and then come back and used mineral spirits or something like that to wipe all the excess off. And I'm like, it's a real pain in the ass because it really dries tough. So we got red to what should be pink, but as you can maybe see, does that look pink to you? No, it's purple.
No, it's no, it's coming through like oranges.
Right.
Yeah.
The longer it goes, the drier it gets, the more purple it gets. So the pink one to me is kind of a it's kind of a no in some ways. It
No,
does
probably
work.
wouldn't be my first color to pick up.
Yeah, I got to
No.
really explain to Rhodes now. He has no idea what you're talking about.
Well, the pink does look neat on like to use a spiraling tool on like a piece of hard maple or something like that. Spray it black, coat it with shellac or lacquer or something like that, and then just fill in the spiraling with it. Then it does a really nice job. And it is pink. That's the electric green. Yeah, of theirs. I think that one looks neat. My wife doesn't necessarily think so. But to me, that one does better for me.
I like that green.
I've done a handful of pieces. I do some of the three-cornered lidded boxes. And some of the first ones I did were in ash, and I used the electric green. And I think I did it was on my Twitch stream. At that point, it was only Twitch. I do Twitch and YouTube together now. And she watched it, and they come out like the next week or whatever. She said, I want to see that little thing. And I come down and got it for her and took it back upstairs, and she goes, that's mine. I'm like, what do you mean it's yours? Because it's sort of, I just said. Now,
Right.
these type of fillers from Jimmy Clues, as you can see, it's very, very stiff as it goes on. Now, to help that situation, he had a couple different ways of dealing with it. First off, he would have put a coat of Danish oil on. Wiped a coat of Danish oil on because you're going to color it all the same color. He would have wiped the coat of Danish oil on it first to make it more liquid. So we can just cheat and put a little bit of mineral spirits on our paper towel. And now it becomes very runny and just like everything else. Makes
Yeah.
it much, much easier to put it on.
It makes it more malleable.
Right. So a little bit of, those types that are like that are sort of thicker, they're a little bit easier to manipulate. And you would have the silver. Silver looks good if it's silver and red will look good. About the only, I mean, they look all right in the black, but like I say, the green, the reds are not so much. The blues, to me, the blue is where it's at as far as craft shows that they're selling the stuff. Which is kind of beyond me why, 90% of the sales go to women, but they seem to like the blue. Hampshire Sheen does have a blue in theirs too. It's all right. I just kind of like the other blue colors. And like Jimmy told me, he said, you can blend all this stuff together. You can put, you can go wild on it. You can put some blue out there in the middle of your other colors. And the colors will blend together and all that good stuff. But like I say, I'm pretty much going to do simple colors. Like I say, from there, it's going to set up for a while. I'm going to come back after it with the shellac and the airbrush. And then from there, you could finish it with whatever you want to. Whether you wipe your finish on, spray your finish on. For me, when it comes to this stuff, it's going to be sprayed. And probably 9 times out of 10, it's going to be sprayed with that little airbrush. It's just, it's very simple. I do have a big sprayer because I've used to make cabinets, but something like this, I could spray easily with the cabinets with the big, it's a turbine sprayer meant for doing big cabinet work or whatever. I could sit this up on a little bit of a lazy Susan so I could spin it around, spray the outside, spray this rim complete. And since I've already put basically 2 to 3 coats of shellac on it before that, it only takes like 1 or 2 coats of lacquer, 1 or 2 coats of top coat over top of that. Everything's already smooth, so you shouldn't have any bubbling or anything like that to go with it. Let me get this over. I have a piece over here that's pretty much finished. Another one of these things to go to take classes with somebody. Some of these pieces come home and maybe what.
We lost your audio.
He walked away from his mic for a second, I think. He's
Yeah,
stuck.
my mic is on my head. It
Now, when
should
you
not have.
walked away, we lost your audio.
I shouldn't have lost that. Here's a piece that I did with Jimmy Clues in his class. That's where I first ran into the burning. That is also the same blue. This also already has a coat of lacquer over top of that. This one even has is dyed in the grain filled on the inside as well. The reason it still hasn't gone anywhere else is because I'm thinking that I might cut the inside again because there's enough material left to do that.
Yeah, it looks great.
Like
Shows you paid attention during class.
well, I've been there twice and we've done some of that stuff twice. So
Yeah.
You're spending that kind of money, you should at least pay attention.
Amen.
That's my opinion of it, that neither here nor there. So I think that's all I got for you. Because I really can't. Good. Needless to say, the psychedelic one will get recut. It may be just as simple as a scraper across it to wipe everything back off
Yeah.
and start over with it.
Well, it really turned out good. Can you show that little one again?
Which little one? The little blue one?
Yeah. When you get ready to here.
The little blue one? The one that I just had?
Yeah. No, the one that you had charred really well and then rubbed the purple cream in on.
Right.
Yeah.
You said blue. That's the purple one.
Sorry. Yep. Sorry. Purple. Yeah, it looks really good.
Widen out just a bit.
So that's just charred, not the black dye?
Right. Right.
Cool.
Yeah, it's burnt. It's basically it's burnt black.
Yeah,
That's it.
Shoshugiban.
So if you don't char it hard enough and the black, and if it's not black enough, this one I think I sprayed with the black shellac as well, if I remember correctly. The black shellac, and I probably could even get away with not putting the dye on first. You could probably go right to the black shellac because it has a fair amount of black in it. So it's not going to hurt anything. I'll clean my airbrush. Show you what to do when you're cheap and you buy an airbrush. Like I say, these airbrushes are not expensive to start with. You can run them off of your compressor if you already have a compressor. This is what's called the poor man's airbrush cleaner. I switched over. It's got alcohol in it. I'm gonna spray it in there. It keeps the mist contained, and then it'll evaporate in the little jug with
Cool idea.
no real fire hazard. Because they make a little pot for airbrushes to do that very same thing with, and it's like, well, I'm not spending $30 or $40 for something that's all I'm gonna do is spray it into it. I'm like, that's just a jug of lemonade or whatever it was. So I probably will lose my audio because I'm going to turn the dust collector back on.
Quiet. We don't hear anything.
That's if I didn't say anything.
So now it's been sealed. And from there, let it dry and then put whatever top coat over it you want. Like I say, from there, for me, it's going to be sprayed with lacquer, which my lacquer is water-based. If anybody has ever tried any water-based, most cabinet people say that there's never been a good water-based lacquer made in life, but there's one out from Target Coatings or out of New Jersey. I've used it for about 20 years. And it is truly water-based. It has no real amount of odor to it.
They took the nerve toxins out.
Yeah, I mean, if you've ever been, well, you all know that you use a rattle can stuff. When you spray that out of a big spray gun, you better have a really good respirator or it'll kill you. I mean, it's very dangerous stuff to use. Even a rattle can in a closed-in environment. I mean, there's a fella in town here that sprays it all the time, and he helped me learn how to spray the stuff, spray what I use. So there,
Oh,
now
wow.
it has a shine, and that's just a shellac. And it does bring out the grain quite nicely. Like I say, for the most part, it needs a dark background.
Right.
There was one of the guys in the class that put some of the gold grain filler in a piece of ash, just plain ash, no color on it at all. He thought it looked neat, but he was in a group of pretty much one that thought it looked neat, but that's pretty
As the
much it.
as the kids would say today, that was all real sick, Kurt.
Yeah, yeah. But
Hey,
it's-
can you for the creams and everything that you use, can you put them up, hold them by the camera? There's some folks that want a screenshot for
Okay,
buying purposes later.
let me get this chuck off of here. And we'll get it.
And while you're doing that, everybody, I've got to go do the insulin shot for the cat, so I'll be back in 5 minutes.
Let's start with the wax ones. These are all Hampshire Sheen. Let me get down here to where you can see it. The light does not cooperate very well with this. That's the Hampshire Sheen embellishing waxes. There is way more colors than what I have there, though.
Kurt,
I know how long he worked to get that red right. So
Yeah, he also has like gold and silver.
Yeah, he has the basic other
Black.
colors. Gold,
White,
silver,
black.
white, black. I'm not
White.
sure.
Gold and silver.
He has
Kurt?
white.
Kurt, can you spray finish over those embellishing waxes?
I would probably put a coat of, I'm a fan of shellac.
Yep, me too.
So my suggestion would be, I've never tried to put finish directly over them because you got to watch some of this stuff. It will melt some of it. I mean, I'm distributor of the Parfix. Parfix will literally melt this stuff.
Martin
Any of them.
Smith, who created these, said you could spray lacquer over them without any problems.
I have successfully sprayed lacquer and poly over these waxes.
Right.
Okay.
But you do have to keep in mind they are a wax. So, but a simple coat of shellac to me is easier.
Hey, Kurt, do you use de-wax shellac or just regular shellac?
I use de-waxed shellac, but I don't
Okay.
think it would really matter.
Uh-huh.
If I put them right outside up, it would look better. There's the Chroma Gilbans. Price-wise, they're probably a little bit more expensive. But like I say, those tubes are a couple years old, and I do a fair amount of stuff with them. Because as you saw, it doesn't take very much to fill the grain. So, and they are, I don't know if I can even read. It says keep away from children, so I shouldn't be using it. Combustible, do not take internally. That's a bright idea. Yeah, see, it has right on them, or the Nick Agar signature series. Okay. Does not say what the solvent is, but I know just from using it, it's mineral spirits will take it right off. If you get it on somewhere you don't want it, it will take it off. As long as you don't get it down in, if it's an open poured, you're only going to, for the most part, you're going to use it on open poured wood to do what I'm doing. But like I say, the texturing, these will work really well because they're very, very thin. I watched Nick Agar do one where he did the, what did he call it? The water
Viking Sunset.
Oh yeah,
Viking Sunset Bowl.
Right. These you can use by that method of rubbing them in between your fingers. If you wanted to take that a black piece or a dark colored piece and wanted to go over like that charred piece, if you wanted to go over just the high points, you could, if you rubbed it in your fingers, you could just go over the high points and it would stick to the high points and leave the black underneath it. I've seen that done as well. But what's the other one? Oh, the other ones are have Jimmy Clue's name on it that I have. And they last a long time. I mean, you buy them and they don't really go bad. That even has a price on it. There again, they're $20 a little for a bottle, for a jar.
It'll go a long way.
1.5 ounce jar. I have the gold, the silver, the turquoise. I think I have a blue one in that one, but the blue one in his I didn't particularly care for. And I got a yellow, and the yellow wasn't overly great. But there's another one. This one, I think you find this one at the hobby stores. This is there again, it's a Gilder's paste, which has gotten a bit hard on me. But I could put there again, I think I could put a little bit of mineral oil in there, let it sleep for overnight or a couple of days or whatever, and it'll come back to being more
Malleable.
More malleable. But that I know you can buy at like Hobby Lobby and those places, and could be
Kirk-
used the same way.
Kirk, have you ever tried Creative Expressions gilding polish? It's actually a cream.
No.
It's something my wife uses in card making, and
Okay.
it works just like the stuff you just used tonight. It's very similar, but it's creamy, like the stuff you had in the tubes.
Right. The Gilder's cream is just that. I mean, it is very creamy. It's
Yeah.
probably the easier ones to work with.
This stuff that she gets comes in a 5.5 ounce jar, and it's like $5 for a 5.5 ounce jar. It's pretty cheap.
I like the sound of that.
Scott, can you put that in the chat for us?
How about I show you a picture of the colors quick?
Yeah, let me span over to you.
I have their color wheel up. Whoop, I had their color wheel up. Hang on.
Don't want to take away from the demo here.
Nope.
We're done.
I want him to try it so I don't have to buy it and try it.
What's the name of it?
Called Creative Expressions Gilding Polish.
So it's got a wide span of colors there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here, I can show you how the bottle looks. There's the bottle.
And you bought that where?
You can buy it at any rubber stamp store.
Card making store, Hallmark store.
Yeah, like Hobby Lobby used to carry it. I don't know if they still do, but any of your scrapbooking stores will have it.
Is that basically a gilt cream or a gilding cream?
That's what it's called.
Well, that'd be better yet. It's cheaper. I like the sound of that.
And it comes,
Right.
the top comes out and there's a little sponge in the top
Okay.
that you can use, that the card ladies use, for blending it, and it's water based, so you can blend it together. And there's no wax in it.
So you could use it to go over the top of things in that same fashion.
Right. That's why I was
And not
asking
get it-
if you could spray it over the wax, because I was curious.
Like I say, I over top of any of that stuff is going to get a coat of shellac. Yeah, it's what I use is Zinsser's Seal Coat, which is I think it's a 1 pound cut of de-wax shellac.
Yep.
Once again, another product that I've
Bob.
probably used for 20 years. And it
Well-
work, you find the things that work and you just stick with them as for that goes.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's what we tend to do until we try something new, because we get our arms twisted.
Right. And that's what
Well,
the
Does-
purple
does-
one that we had from the beginning. This was all this is done the same way. This was done with lacquer in the rim as well. It was done the same way as I did these other bowls. all that is finished. Before I hollow the inside out, the inside and the tenant or the foot has the 3408 on it. And then the whole thing gets buffed.
Looks
Cat
great,
looks
Kurt.
great.
Awesome demo.
Great job. I mean, that's fantastic demo on using colored dyed waxes for fillers and embellishment here. I think it's the first time we've done a full on demo like this. So this is great.
I got
So
it.
folks, if anybody has a question, now's the time for you to ask your question. I know there was a period where there was a whole bunch of questions that went through the chat and I couldn't keep up with them. So if you still have it, now's your time to ask. Go ahead, Brenda.
What kind of wood would be good to use this for?
Anything with an open grain.
Which is oak,
Red
Ash.
oak,
ash.
red
Oak,
ash.
hickory.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of them out there. They just mentioned a whole bunch of them. I'm not a fan of the oak. If you're going to use the oak, the white oak, I mean, it did fill it in. But the white oak doesn't really have a lot of the big fat grain. So I would probably go more in the red oak family.
Red oak.
Right.
Yeah,
Like
white
say
oak
red
is
oak
significantly harder than red oak is.
Right.
I didn't notice any difference there, but yeah, there's just tons of them out there. Anything with any kind of grain, open grain to it.
Like sassafras.
Yeah.
Pine.
Well, the softwood would burn at the same rate as the softwood as the porous section of the pine. So I don't think pine would be a great choice.
Pine really doesn't have as much of an open grain as what you think, because this actually is a piece of pine. At least
Well, I'm
this
not
is.
real good at types of wood, so I couldn't tell you which ones has the open grain and which one don't.
Just pick it up and look at it and see.
Okay.
That's really all, it's all about. I mean, it's, play with something just like the ones that I just did tonight. That last one that we put umpteen different colors on. I mean, you're just going to cut it back off. Start with a nice sharp tool when you go to cut it back off, and by the time you get to the rim, it'll be dull and crap. Although that only has one coat of shellac on it. When you go cutting through, like the one that I did officially, that'll get lacquered. If I put another 2 or 3 coats of lacquer over top of that, as soon as the tool touches that, it will be instantly dull. Which surprised me, but because I use all
Well, wait, Matt.
But. Any other questions?
Going once, going twice. All right,
Great demo,
everybody.
Kirk.
Great round of applause for Mr. Kirk Kapp here.
Very good demo.
Excellent demo.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Yay.
Very nice.
Thank you, Kirk.